Hello students and welcome again to Legacy IAS Academy. On the eve of the presentation of the Union Budget 25-26, we'll look at as to why Nirmala Sitharaman, that is our Honorable Finance Minister, should give tax relief to boost the economy. Right. So first we'll see why does the economy need boost. Of course, it always needs a boost. We always want to do better and better, but why it is an urgent or the need of the hour, we'll see that. Secondly, what are the possible things that can be done to boost the economy, and why we are talking about tax reliefs and how this tax relief measures can actually lead to the boost in the economy. So let's get started. So what's the news all about? See, the National Statistical Office of India, which comes up with all the data with respect to economy, etc., different criterias, different macroeconomic factors, it has said, it has really in a report, it has said that the economic growth of India could hit its lowest in the last 4 years. So now the data which is going to be presented of the previous fiscal year, or in fact even in the coming year, what is the possibility in 25-26 as well, it can reach up to a level which is the lowest in the last 4 to 5 years. That is a possibility, and since the NSO has said that that is a possibility, we need to look into making sure that that does not happen. All right, so what are the numbers that we are talking about? If you consider the number, there has been a decline, of course, and further it is expected to reach 6.4% for financial year 25-26. That means in the upcoming fiscal year, the growth rate is expected to be 6.4%. It is a huge downfall from 8.2%. Now from 8.2% to 6.4%, it is not just a downfall of 1.8. This downfall is how much? This downfall is 1.8 upon 8.2 into 100. This is the amount of downfall that we are talking about. It is over 15% of decline in the growth rate that we are talking about. So which is a very high decline, correct? So now because of this, we need solution. Now what can be the solution here? One solution that we are going to discuss, which this article talks about, is the tax relief measures. But can there be various other solutions as well with respect to the economic growth? Yes, of course. What are the other solutions? So let's look at some other solutions. So one of the solution is the ease of doing business, improving the ease of doing business. Now, how does this help? When you improve the ease of doing business, when you make it easy for people to do business, more and more people would want to do business. When more and more people would want to do business, more and more people would invest the money. To invest the money, they would have to borrow the money. The demand for money will increase. The money will be interested. The production will happen. When production happens, what happens? When production increase, when the new businesses start, new jobs will be created. When jobs will be created, those people will also have money, and those people with that money would also want to buy various things, as a result of which further boosting the economy, right, and further increasing the demand. To meet that further increased demand, again new businesses will want to come up, or the older businesses will want to expand, and this cycle will continue. We'll look at the similar cycle. The cycle is sort of similar when you talk about relief in the taxation system. All right, so one is ease of doing business. Second is incentivizing things. How can you incentivize to open a business, especially in a particular sector which is not doing well? If let's say agriculture is slowing down, so incentivize people to produce more, or a particular crop where the production is down. The same can happen in industry, the same can happen in service sector. Now how can you incentivize? You can incentivize, of course, by infusing the liquidity. The government can infuse the liquidity. Tax relief is a measure which we are coming to, but infusing liquidity means what? See, what happens is there is a concept of viable gap funding, VGF, viable gap funding. What is that? Let's say I want to start a business in solar panels, right? But I realize I have only few crore rupees, and if I start it, my business will take time to break even. My business will take time to make profit, and it will require, let's say, 3 years to make profit, but I have money to sustain only for 2.5 years. So what happens? My business is not viable at the moment. It is not feasible for me to start this business. So what the government can do? The government can say, don't worry, for the remaining 0.5 years, you need 1 crore rupees to sustain. That 1 crore I will provide to you. You don't worry, you start the business of solar panels. So what this 1 crore becomes? It becomes viable gap funding. Why? Because my business was not viable. After providing this 1 crore rupees, my business becomes viable. So this 1 crore has filled the gap of the viability, and hence is known as the viability gap funding. Now, I mentioned a word, break even. What do you mean by break even? Break even is a point of time in your business cycle or in business timeline wherein what happens is, whatever money you had invested so far, let's say you invested 10 crore rupees of money, your business will start generating revenue. Let's say first year it generates 5 crore revenue. Now this is not your profit, or not just the revenue. Let's say it generates 5 crore of profit excluding the working capital. This was the fixed amount that was required, right? And from this fixed amount, later on operating costs are required. Apart from that operating cost, 5 crore extra money was generated, which is your profit. So have you broke even till now? No, you have not, because 10 crore was invested, only 5 crore of profit has happened. That means 5 crore of your money is still stuck. When you make another 5 crore of money, then you can say 5 plus 5, 10, and 10 crore is what I had invested. So now I have break even point. I have reached the break even point. That means what? After this point, whatever money that I make as a profit is over and above the money that I have invested. The sooner you reach the break even point, the better it is. I hope that is absolutely clear. So these are the various things that the government can look at, but the very important thing that we are going to talk about is the tax relief measures. Now it will be twofold. Twofold means tax relief for the business side as well as tax relief for the customer side, consumer side. So we are going to specifically talk about the tax relief from the consumer side, especially focusing on the middle class. Because the middle class, in fact, when you talk about the middle class, it's not the business sector middle class, but specifically the salaried employee who pay, who have the highest efficiency of paying taxes. Very low amount of tax evasion is there in middle class. They face a huge burden of the taxation that is there, right? Income tax and corporate tax, they are neck to neck. They are the highest components. So income tax is also quite high for the salaried employees specifically. The burden is high, their efficiency of paying is high. So when you are so efficient in paying your taxes, you also want some, something in return. One thing that you want in return with respect to taxes, the benefits that the government provides. The facilities, the health facility, medical facility, education facility, road, transport, insurance, etc., which you enjoy. But you would realize that India somehow is lagging in it with respect to the development of the, we understand that expressways, airports, then all that is being built. But what about the pakka roads in the, let's say, the remote areas, or the regional road near your house? All those potholes, you will see so many stories, so many information, so many news articles about accidents due to potholes. The potholes coming up, the road gets built today, and after 2 months there are potholes. After one single rain, you realize that. So are these services enough for the taxes we are paying? No, we probably want better. It is said that every 1 rupee the government puts in a scheme, right, only 40 paisa reaches the consumer, the last person. So what happens? 60 paisa or 60 rupee, 60% is gone. So that is one thing. So we need to take care of that. But apart from that, apart from these benefits which is expected, the middle class or the salaried employee or the income taxpayer is also expecting a relief in the tax, amount of tax, the quantity of tax, improvement in the slabs, etc. So let us see how can reducing the income tax or coming up with relief measures with respect to tax help. This is a complete sequence to understand how tax relief can boost the economic growth. So pay attention. You can utilize this directly in your answers as well. So tax relief. Tax relief could boost consumption, we know that, but let us step by step understand how this is possible. So when you have low taxes, it will lead to higher disposable income. What is disposable income? Disposable income DI is equals to personal income PI minus the tax obligation. So when tax is low, your disposable income will be higher. Disposable income means the income which you can dispose of, the income which you can use, wherein there is no liability on you to pay to the government or any legal authority, so on and so forth. It is at your discretion, do whatever you want to do with it. So when the taxes are low, disposable income increases. When the disposable income increases, what happens? Of course, you have more money to spend. Earlier, you had, let's say, 90,000 rupees to spend. Now you have 1 lakh rupees to spend. So more money to spend. When you have more money to spend, that means what? There is more demand in the market. What is demand? Amount of money that is chasing the goods and services present in the economy. So more money means more demand. When there is more demand, what does it mean? It will, when demand is more, so the market realizes that the demand is more, people are wanting more and more and more. For example, let's take for example the UPSC, IAS, Civil Services Coaching Institutes. If you realize that there is too much of demand of Civil Services Coaching Institute, you would also want to start a UPSC Civil Services Coaching Institute or XYZ product or services. If you realize the demand is high in these things, you want to start a business for that, you want to deal in that so that you can provide, because there is demand, the prices will go up, you will earn profit, your goods and services will sell. So because the demand goes high, what happens? The market is more attractive for the business people to start businesses. So new businesses will come up, or the already existing businesses will want to expand. When you do that, when new businesses come up or the businesses are expanded, what happens? It will lead to more production. It will lead to more production. Now more production means what? More GDP. And when you have more GDP, it means what? It will be certain percentage higher than the GDP of the previous year. That means what? That means you have actually increased the economic growth rate. What is the economic growth rate? The growth rate of GDP. So what have you done by providing tax relief measures? You have actually increased the economic growth rate of the country. Now, the flip side of it, if you lower the taxes and stuff, what will happen? You will collect less revenue. Agreed. But because of this lower measures, what has happened? The GDP has increased. Now production has increased. People are earning more. Businesses are doing more. So now there is a bigger pool for the government to collect taxes from. So the taxes which the government would have foregone because of reducing the tax rate would be recuperated. The government will get it back on account of the increased GDP, and hence the government is also happy, the consumer is also happy, everyone is happy. It is a win-win situation, and hence it is expected that the Honorable Finance Minister, or the government for that matter, the Finance Minister presents the budget, but it's the entire government that comes up with that budget. So it is expected that tax relief measures should be there. It will boost the economy and it will be a win-win situation for all the stakeholders involved. Thank you so much.